the disconnect between those players and the fans has never been so vast. The perception is that the squad is too comfortable and unchallenged. Leicester fans refer to the club's £100 million training ground as the Seagrave Holiday Hotel and Spa. I think Percy's been watching Blue Tinted Glasses.
Yes, I've been. Hi, John. Big fan. Big fan of John.
A player once described it as the equivalent of centre backs. So there we go. There's a story, an inside story from John Percy that a player has described as centre parks. Although clearly Harry Winks does not like centre parks because we know the story there. So we've all seen this photo over the weekend. Of course, this was posted by Harry Winks's partner. On Instagram, I think it was the day of the game, literally within a couple hours of the game starting.
I think it was whilst the game was being played, I heard.
Oh, okay. There we go. Even worse. So shortly after the 4-0 home defeat by Brentford, the agency of Wout Faes posted a highlights reel of the defender on social media, describing him as a master.
How did they manage to do that, though? Like, what could they find?
It included footage from a 4-0 defeat to Everton. I suppose that's
so
not exactly
when we did the BTG awards at the end of the season for most bozo moment, this one doesn't get enough. This is absolutely. I was pissing myself when I read this. It's absolutely hilarious.
I genuinely thought they were joking. I would love to see the proof of that somewhere. Like, how did they manage to? How would you manage to do it?
Yeah,
like, how would you manage to find it off highlights? Is it just him like aura defending or whatever? Like, they commented against Brighton, or like, what if they pulled out the Razzies to make him look good? Hopefully, they're doing a good job though. We need a good value offer for him. So I hope they made a nice montage some European club will buy.
I think they need to pass their skills on to you, mate, to try and find Victor Christensen highlights.
I mean,
no, I'm joking. I've screenshotted that though, Nil, so we'll use that at the awards show. Too many wankers playing for Leicester City purely for the money. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I suppose. I mean, let's talk about those two instances. Starting with Harry Winks and Nil. This is the latest, player fallout drama that's been going on recently. It wasn't, it now appears it wasn't just a small falling out where the player maybe gets not suspended, but punished for a couple of weeks by being left out and playing for the under-21s or whatever. This now looks like a long-term thing. Ruud has robbed his hands of Harry Winks and doesn't want anything to do with him.
For someone who is signed to be part of the leadership group and to help us out and being professional, he's sure not acted like it. I mean, do we not remember? We miss you, Enzo, in the Copenhagen party, which feels so long ago. And we even defended the players a little bit there. But looking back at it, they were major red flags and we should have called it out. So he's fallen out with Steve Cooper. Now he's fallen out with Van Nistelrooy. And look, at the time we had some sympathy saying, well, if his partner's just given birth and he doesn't want to stay at the ground, even if it's just one day a week, it's somewhat understandable. But then with that post going up, that just shows major disrespect, right? You can have your grievances, but not air them in public. And I think, a good example would be Ricardo. He had some cryptic tweets on Instagram and stuff saying like, it's disappointing when people forget what you've done for them, i.e. starring for them in the championship. But he just got on with it, played his way into the team, came back sort of thing. Winks the opposite. So unfortunately, and this is really poor because I think, I feel like, especially under Nigel Pearson, he was really big on signing characters. It wasn't just about their playing ability. Sometimes it even wasn't anything about their playing ability, but they had the bit between their teeth, something to prove, good character, right? And we just haven't done that now. And these toxic personalities, they cause a lot of issues, very deep rooted. And now, like I say, the big problem is what we're going to do, how we're going to get them out. And even if there are other teams that would take those players, you're not going to get too much bang for your buck. So, yes, I agree with that. And I have to say I'm very disappointed because I think especially last season, I was a big fan of him. He really won me over. And this season, it definitely wasn't going his way. And I could understand his frustrations and shouting at Steve Cooper and stuff like that. But the fact is, with this and the Copenhagen thing, that's two managers that he's been very unprofessional with. So you have to call a spade, or in this case, a wanker.
Same with Vestergaard, right? I think first time Vestergaard was sold out with Brendan Rodgers, who was in the wrong. You didn't really know. Vestergaard didn't have a huge following in the club at that time. But then you saw the redemption. You thought he was a good guy all along. Enzo was the right fit for him. But you can see now in the two more managers he's had issues with, right? It's quite clear that Yannick Vestergaard it doesn't have his hands completely clean in that either. And I think it's the same now with Winks, having that happen with 2 managers in a row.
Yeah. I mean, there's a comment here. I think at the time, like I've gone through a bit of gone round a roundabout with this one, because I think initially I was like, oh my God, like Winks, you're a knob. And then I was like, actually, you know, he's just had a baby and all of that. So you can understand the circumstances. But then, as you say, Neil, there's history. And when there's history, and it's happened before, like Duck said with Vestergaard, 3 managers now, I think Vestergaard's fallen out with. You kind of have to say, yeah, it's probably...
Say even this weekend with Winks, right? If that picture was a mistake, he could have come out and gone, Leicester fans, I'm so sorry. Yes, as you know, we have had a bit of a disagreement with Rude, but I just want to say apologies for this. We're all taking it really badly at the club. It's, you know, your idea. None of that. I don't think he's even posted anything about it. Yeah.
And it kind of feels orchestrated, because your partner wouldn't, like, it almost, you know what I mean? Like if that was my partner, if I was going out with Harry Winks, you'd probably ask, is this all right? Can I do, you know, I mean, you wouldn't just do it, you know what I mean? Because she knows that he's a professional footballer. Let's bring this up here. The Leicester, so this is about Vestergaard and Winks. Leicester's manager asked them to stay overnight for 1 day a week at the club's training ground to aid preparation. Both have declined. Both players have since been excluded from his plans. The perception is that they are waiting for him to leave. As what happened really with Steve Cooper. You know, it feels that way, and they celebrated it in a nightclub in Copenhagen.
Must have had a great day. Nightclubs in Denmark do hit pretty different, so I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. So there we go. Yeah, there's obviously about I don't know why John Percy had to include the Aperol Spritz, but there we go. Hey ho. Obviously here, among many other pertinent questions for the post-season review, what was the logic in giving Vestergaard 32 a new 3-year contract last June? It's my understanding, I mean, I think I spoke to Rob Tanner about this, guys, that Enzo wanted it. And Enzo was like, I want Vestergaard next season.
Again, director of football, he's got to say, Enzo, I know you want him, but you can't have that. We'll give him 1 year, maybe we'll give him 2.
Yeah, the problem is it's 3 years, right? It's again, you're that age, so much can happen, and I think they should have known as well that Enzo wasn't able to stay out his whole contract. And I mean, if my math ain't wrong, a 3-year deal would be into 2027. Enzo was gone in 2026, even with if his contract was fully used out at Leicester, right? So, I mean, we all get why he got a new contract if Enzo had stayed, and it was likely signed before Enzo left. About 3 years at 32. Rather just, maybe give it an option for an extra year, whatever. Again, weirdly
self-inflicted.
It's the same with Rude, right? We're fighting relegation. We give him a 2.5-year deal, no buyout clause or no sacking clause or whatever you want to call it. When we get relegated, we're digging our own grave, and now we can't sack him because PSR.
Exactly.
Please, guys, you gave him the contract half a year ago. You knew our struggles.